everyone. My name is Haley. I'm one of the interns at Manitowoc Public Library, and I'm so excited to invite you to our Wednesday afternoon programming. Today we're at Woodland Dunes, and we're going to talk all about animal houses. Before we begin, I want to highlight that we have some great books at the library that are related to today's event, so be sure to check out our display in the youth department. This is one of my favorites. It's called How Animals Build, and what makes it super cool is that it goes through all kinds of animals, in the sea, on the land, animals that build versus animals that borrow. And then it also is super cool because it's a lift the flap book. So you can open the pages even bigger and learn more and more about it that way. So there's a lot of detail here. It's super fun, very graphic, and a really great way to get introduced to how animals build. So we hope you stop by the library and enjoy the program. Thanks, guys.
Well, hi, I'm Jess. I'm the education coordinator here at Woodland Dunes Nature Center. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, I'm Sydney. I'm the education intern here this summer at Woodland Dunes.
And as Haley said, we're learning about animal houses and actually how animals are excellent engineers. So if you think about your favorite animal, maybe you know what that animal's house looks like. Maybe you don't. So let us show you a few interesting animal homes we found here at Woodland Dunes over the years. I assure you these homes were already vacated. No one was living in them, so no animals were disrupted in their life cycle during the program or during when we picked these up. And the first one I want to talk about is this chunk of a tree. So we had a tree fall on the trail at Woodland Dunes, and it was on the trail blocking the trail. So we had to cut it up so we could clear it, and we noticed a hole in the tree. So we decided to cut through the trunk down the middle, and holy moly, check out what we found. So we found this amazing animal home. The animal that did this has a really strong beak, and it pecked a hole into the tree when it was living and excavated or emptied out, pecked out all the wood down in this cavity, emptied it out, and then laid its eggs in here. And you probably already guessed what animal did this. It was a woodpecker. So woodpeckers are really interesting birds, and they don't use the same nest year after year. So what's really cool is they make homes that other animals will borrow later. For example, small owls would live in here, black-capped chickadees, even wood ducks, and maybe some squirrels would use this later on for their own nest.
Okay, our next example of an animal home is this honeycomb here. And this was built by some honeybees. Honeybees are really great pollinators, and they like to travel and fly to really sweet smelling flowers and plants where they can collect nectar and pollen, and they bring it all back to their honeycomb where they can make honey. And bees are kind of just like us. They like to eat honey too. So they eat their honey, and their bodies are actually designed to convert the honey into wax. And that wax, they actually sweat out of pores or holes in their body, and they can chew up the wax and really soften it, make it gooey so they can mold this honeycomb right here. Oh, and if you take a closer look at the honeycomb, you can see hundreds of these cells. I'll flip it over. Here we go. All these cells, and these are kind of like little rooms for the bees. So there's a room like a kitchen so they can make honey. There's a room where they can sleep, and there's a bathroom and even a nursery for baby bees as well.
Another great animal home that we find lots of here at the dunes are nests like this. So this was built by a bird, and the bird that built this nest is a bird you may not be familiar with, which is why I want to show you. This bird's called a yellow warbler, and Sydney has a picture here to show you. The male will be on the top, and the female is on the bottom in her picture. Here it is.
Here we are. We're here.
And you can even see the female or the girl is sitting in the nest. Now, birds are amazing engineers because they don't have hands. So imagine you're a bird. You have to use your feet and your beak to build a nest. And what I love about yellow warblers is the girls are the engineers. The boys don't really help a whole lot. They're kind of there to supervise, I guess, but the female collects all these materials. So if you look closely, you may see some little grasses that she weaved with her beak and feet. And she also put in this really fluffy stuff here. These are the seeds from a cottonwood tree. And then if you notice inside, this is a cup-shaped nest. Inside it's lined with really soft fluff from cattails. And that is to make sure that her babies have a nice warm place to grow. And what I love about this nest is if you imagine this was part of a tree and these leaves were alive at one time, it was very well camouflaged, right? Some female yellow warblers even take bark from the tree and weave it into the nest so that it's super camouflaged. So those girls are excellent engineers.
And our next unique animal home is right here. This is the home of a goldenrod fly. So as you can see, it looks pretty, looks just like a dead leaf or a dead piece of grass. And when it was living, the female fly would lay an egg on the stalk of the grass, and the egg would eventually hatch into a larva, and that larva is hungry. It needs to grow, right? So it will eat part of the plant, and its saliva or its spit will cause the plant to kind of bulge up into this circular shape right here. The larva then sleeps, it lives in this skull, this shape right here, for a while until it's an adult. But as a larva, it lives right in the center, right there, and it'll chew its way through this protein-rich, right through the middle to make a tunnel. And right before it reaches the edge, it returns, it comes right back to the center where it grows into an adult, and it can crawl back through the tunnel it made and push its way out and fly as a full-grown adult goldenrod fly.
So these are just a few examples. If you can imagine, there are lots of other cool animal engineers we can think of. Beavers build dams, but their home is actually a lodge, which we forget about sometimes. Termites make cool homes, spiders make cool homes. So we have a challenge for you today, or for this week. We would like you to be an engineer. Maybe choose your favorite animal, do a little research online or in a book at the library, and see what their home would be or their nest. And then think creatively like an engineer. What Sydney and I did is we went for a nature walk and we collected some materials, which we had permission to pick. So make sure you get permission before you pick anything. We walked around the nature center here. We collected some different items like these cedar leaves, which is a type of evergreen tree. We got a bunch of sticks and broke them up. We also collected some different kinds of grasses and horsetail, which is this really cool plant that's kind of frilly looking. We collected dead grass as well because we thought that might be good for like bending. And then you have to kind of think, how am I going to stick all my materials together? Maybe you choose to use glue, but what's really fun is to use mud. I highly recommend mud. So Sydney is going to show you a couple of the animal homes she created using the materials that we collected from outside.
Yeah, so I actually built my own bird nest right here. And to start off, I took some mud and I shaped it into a bowl, kind of like that birdhouse was in a cup shape. And then I used the grass that I found and I wrapped it around the mud to kind of get it camouflaged a little bit. And then I even added some eggs. These are the gulls that I talked about before. They look kind of like eggs, so I thought that's pretty cool. It looks just like a bird nest, right? And just like Jess said, some other really cool engineers are spiders. And I made a spider web out of some of the materials we found on our walk. So here's the bent grass, the dead grass that we found. I bent it to make it look like the shape here. And then I tied pieces of grass and I wove them into this pattern to look like a spider web. Now this might be a little too complex, so if you don't find a lot on your nature walk, maybe there's some materials at home that you could use. So I made this spider web out of a paper plate, some yarn, and a used egg carton. A great place to look for some materials at home would be a recycling bin, or if your adult stores some craft supplies, it'd be great to find some markers or some construction paper, some glue. Just make sure you have all the permission you need to build with these items, okay? And I can quickly go over how to make this, but don't feel restricted to only this example. Just be really creative when you do this challenge, okay? So the first step to making this spider web out of a paper plate would be to cut slits around the edge of the paper plate. Now some of them are already cut, but all you have to do is cut just maybe a half an inch or 1.5 inches. You don't want to go too long with your slit. You just want it maybe the length of the grooves right here along the edges. And once you cut slits all along the edge, then you take your yarn and a piece of tape. You tape your yarn to the back of the paper plate like this, and then you just wrap the yarn within the slits like this. And be sure to crisscross to make that spider web shape. It doesn't have to be perfect, just however you want your spider web to look. So once I get a few in here, kind of like that. This is my spider web. And then to add your spider, all you have to do, you can use an egg carton or you can find some construction paper, draw your own spider, whatever you want to do. To make our spider like this, we just cut one of the egg holders down the center like this. And then we poked holes for the pipe cleaner legs and added some eyes as well. So that's just one of the many examples that you could use to make your own animal home.
So we hope you're up for the challenge. We think this will be a lot of fun for everyone. We hope you enjoy learning about your favorite animal and you enjoy being an animal engineer. Thank you so much for joining us out here at Woodland Dunes, and we're so happy to partner with the Manitowoc Public Library. Bye, everyone.